This video reviews some key terms of statistics. I'm going to start by looking at measures of central tendency. Now the mean, median and mode are all measures of the centre of the distribution. The mean is found by adding up all your data values and dividing by how many there are. So we use the X with the bar on the top of it, and it's equal to the sum of the scores over how many scores we've got. So you should be using that formula. The median is the middle value of the data. So you must sort the data in ascending order and then determine the middle value in order to find the median. If there are two middle values, the median is going to be the mean of the two. Mode is the value that occurs the most often in the data set. Now we also have a measure of spread. At this point in time we are just looking at the range, and the range is a measure of the spread of the distribution. It's the largest value minus the smallest value of your data set. So let's look at some examples. Calculate the mean, median, mode and range for the following sets of data. So I'm going to start by putting it in order because I'm going to need that for median anyway. I recommend crossing off your data as you do this so you don't accidentally miss something. Okay, so that's my data in order. So my mean is equal to my sum of scores over n. So if I add all those scores up, 2 plus 4 plus 5 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9, I get 42. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scores. So 42 divided by 7 is 6. So that is my mean. My median, my data is in order. You can see that I have 3 scores here and 3 scores here, which leaves that median in the middle. Okay, so my median is 7. My mode, the thing that occurs the most, is 7. So mode equals 7. And the range is the highest minus the lowest, which is 9 minus 2, which is 7. Okay, now let's look at the next question. Again, I'm going to start by putting it in order. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Okay, let's do the mean. The mean is the sum of the scores over n. Go into our calculator. 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 10 is 45. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 scores. So 45 divided by 8 is 5.625. If we were rounding to do decimal places, it'd be 5.63. To find my median, you can see that I've got 4 pieces of data and 4 pieces of data. So I don't actually have a middle score. So what I do is I look at the 2 middle scores and I take the average of those. So my median is going to be 5 plus 6 divided by 2, which is 5.5. So median equals 5.5. My mode, nothing, there is no repeated score, so there is no mode. And then my range is my highest minus my lowest, which is 10 minus 2, which is 8. Now, when do we use which measure of central tendency? So as a guide, the mean should be used when you have a sample from a population and the most reliable measure is wanted. Okay, so when I say a sample from a population, you've grabbed a sample from the entire group and you want the most reliable measure of that. Other calculations that follow, so you might be finding the standard deviation, and also that the distribution of scores is approximately symmetrical, and that one's quite important. Now the median should be used when the distribution is skewed, okay? Interest lies in particular whether a particular score falls into the upper or lower half of the distribution and not in how far away from the central point they fall. So you want to know where they are in relation to the median or the middle score. And the mode should be used when a quick and rough measure of central tendency will do, or interest lies in what the most common score is. Now, in regards to the shape of the distribution, if our distribution is symmetrical, so it looks something like that, then our measure, our best measure, is mean. And if it is actually symmetrical, our mean, median and mode will all be the same. Okay? But if we don't have a symmetrical distribution, say our distribution looks like this. Now if I use the mean, what will happen is we've got a few scores down in this bottom end that will be pulling our mean lower than what the true middle of the distribution is, okay, or the true centre of the distribution is. So when we have a skewed distribution that looks like this, our mean would give a lower estimation of what the centre is. So median would be better in this case. And similarly, if I have a distribution that looks like this, here, these high scores, these few high scores will be pulling our measure of central tendency up. So if we use mean in this case, we would get an inflated sense of the centre of the distribution. So in both of these cases here, median would be better. Now let's look at calculating mean, median and mode from a frequency table. Now our formula here is the sum of our fx over the sum of our f, which is our frequency. So here I have a frequency table. So x is 2. I have two values that are 2. X is 4. We have 5 4s. X is 6. We have 9 6s. X is 7. We have 8 of those. Okay? So if we were looking at this data without the frequency table, we have 2 2s. We have 5 4s. We have 9 6s. And then we have 8 7s. Now you don't need to do this, but this helps understanding where our calculations are coming from. So our first step is to add our frequencies. Now, because of what I've done down the bottom, you should realise that adding my frequency tells us how many scores there are. Okay? So the sum of f is how many scores there are. Okay, when I work out fx, if I've got 2 times 2 is 4, so we're multiplying these two numbers. Then we've got 4 times 5 is 20, 6 9s are 54, and 7 8s are 56. So what you should be seeing here is these are adding up our scores. So fx, if I look at the 2s, they add to 4. So that's why we're doing 2 lots of 2. If I look at my 4s, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So 5 times 4 is what that adds to. So you should be seeing that by adding up this column, I'm getting the sum of my scores. Should write this better. So sum of f is 24. Sum of fx is 134. Okay, so you should realise that the mean is the sum of fx, which is the total sum of all my scores, over the sum of f, which is how many scores I've got. So 134 divided by 24, which is approximately 5.58. Okay, now to find our mode, we'll do mode next because that's quite straightforward. Which score occurs the most? That would be 6. It has the highest frequency. Now for median, what can help you here is the cumulative frequency. And what that means is how many scores do we have after adding the next lot. So if I look at the 2s, I have 2 of them. Okay? Now I'm going to add my 4s. So I have 2 plus 5, which is 7 scores. So if you look down the bottom here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scores once I get to 4. So once I get to my 6s, I've got 7 2s and 4s, so now I have to add my 9 6s. So that's 16. And down the bottom you can add them up and see there are 16 scores there. So the cumulative frequency is telling me how many scores I've got. It's a running total. So then I've got 16 2 4s and 6s. I'm going to add in my 8 7s. And I get 24. So you should see that this 24 here equals how many scores I've got. So to find the median, if we've got 24 scores, you would think about having 12 scores here and 12 scores here. We're separated it into 2 lots. So what I need to find the median is I need the 12th and 13th score or piece of data. Okay, so if I come back to look at my cumulative frequency table, I go, okay, well I've got 2 2s, then I've got 7 lots of 2s and 4s, and then all of a sudden I've got 16. So that means my 12th and 13th score have to be 6s. Okay, and if you look down the bottom, you can see how that works. So here is all my data, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 pieces there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And there's 12 there. So you can see that that median is coming from the 12th and the 13th score. If that was different, we'd have to average them. Okay, so now complete the exercise, Maths Quest 2, exercise 9C, and there are also some worksheets for you to look at.